Emma Mitchell never thought that a simple art exhibition would change her life. A passionate artist, she spent most of her time in her cramped apartment, painting late into the night, struggling to balance her dream of being recognized with the harsh reality of the city's competitive art scene. Despite her talent, she never quite made it. She sold a few pieces here and there, but it wasn't enough to sustain her. The fame and recognition she longed for always seemed just out of reach. On a rainy afternoon in early spring, Emma's latest work, Whispers of the Earth, was displayed at a local gallery. It was a piece she was particularly proud of, a reflection of her own personal struggles with self-doubt and the search for meaning. She stood in front of it, hoping that anyone, would see the layers beneath the brushstrokes. The gallery was small, but it had its regular patrons, art lovers who adored the contemporary styles of local artists. Emma felt like an outsider here, but she stood tall in front of her creation, making sure no one noticed her nerves. That was when Liam walked in. He was tall, well-dressed in a tailored suit that gave off an air of confidence and sophistication. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his eyes, a deep shade of brown, scanned the room with a quiet intensity. He was an architect, a man whose life was consumed by the structure of buildings, by lines and blueprints, a man who lived within the confines of logic and design. But when his gaze landed on Emma's painting, something shifted. There was something in the way her piece captured the raw emotions of human experience, the way it seemed to mirror his own hidden desires for expression, something he hadn't known he was missing until now. He was drawn to the painting like a magnet. After a moment, he turned to the gallery owner. "How much for this piece?" he asked, his voice steady, though there was an undeniable note of admiration in it. The gallery owner smiled, glad to see someone taking interest. "That one? It's a new piece by Emma Mitchell. It's $1,500. Without hesitation, Liam pulled out his wallet and paid. Then, as the gallery owner wrapped up the painting, Liam turned back to Emma, still standing nervously by the painting. "You created this?" Liam asked, his voice full of sincerity. Emma nodded, a small smile on her face despite her shyness. "Yes. It's, about the balance between chaos and peace. I've always struggled with finding my place." Liam smiled, recognizing something deeply personal in her words. "I can see that. There's a certain strength in the vulnerability of this piece. It speaks to me." Emma, caught off guard, managed a soft laugh. "Well, I'm glad it spoke to someone. Would you mind if we talked about it over coffee?" Liam asked, his eyes hopeful yet reserved, as though unsure whether she would accept the invitation. Emma hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. There was something about Liam, an energy that seemed to match the quiet storm of emotions that lived within her. "I'd like that." The cafe was just down the street from the gallery, a small, cozy place with mismatched furniture and the smell of fresh pastries. Emma was still unsure about the whole thing. How could a successful architect like Liam care about her, a struggling artist who barely made enough money to pay rent? But as they sat down with their coffees, the conversation flowed easily. They spoke about their lives. Emma told Liam about her journey to becoming an artist, how she had spent years working odd jobs to support her dream, and how she had almost given up at times. Liam spoke about his work as an architect, designing buildings that people lived and worked in, but how, despite his success, he always felt something was missing, an outlet for his own creativity. As the conversation went on, Emma found herself becoming more and more comfortable around Liam. There was an honesty to him that was refreshing, and he seemed genuinely interested in her story. And when Liam mentioned that he had always been interested in painting, Emma was taken aback. "You paint?" she asked, her eyebrows raised in surprise. Liam smiled, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "I do, actually. I just don't show anyone. It's more of a private thing for me, but sometimes I feel like I need to express myself in a different way. Architecture is all about structure, but painting, it's freeing." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had always thought of architecture as rigid and unyielding, but here was someone who saw it through a different lens. "That's fascinating. What do you paint?" she asked. "Mostly abstract stuff. Lines and shapes. I suppose it's how I try to work through things in my head." Emma smiled, feeling an instant connection. "I'd love to see your work one day." As the days passed, Emma and Liam continued to see each other. Their relationship grew naturally, like two artists collaborating on a masterpiece they never expected to create. They visited museums together, shared their favorite art pieces, and spent countless hours in the cafes and parks, discussing their passions, dreams, and fears. It was during these moments, when they were just two people in the quiet of the world, that their connection deepened. They inspired each other, pushing one another to take risks, to challenge their perceptions, and to keep moving forward. Liam, ever the supporter, encouraged Emma to submit her work to more prestigious galleries, and soon she was offered an exhibition at a well-known space in another city. Emma was thrilled, but the opportunity came with its own set of challenges. Liam, too, had been offered a major architectural project in a foreign city, one that would require him to move for several months. Their newfound love was about to be tested by time and distance. The night before Emma was supposed to leave, Liam surprised her with a gift, an abstract painting he had made just for her. It wasn't perfect, but it was raw and honest, a reflection of their time together. "I made this for you," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "because you made me see that art doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful." Emma, overwhelmed, could barely speak. "Liam, I don't know what to say." He took her hand in his gaze unwavering. "I just want you to know how much you mean to me, Emma. I love you. And no matter where you go, I want you to know that I'll be here, waiting. I want us to build something together, and I don't want distance to stand in our way." Emma's heart raced, and the walls she had built around herself began to crumble. She realized, in that moment, that no career opportunity, no matter how important, could compare to the love she felt for Liam. She was ready to build something, not just in art, but in life, a future that would be theirs to create together. This marks the beginning of their shared journey, where love, art, and passion intersect to form a life they never could have imagined separately. As the days turned into months, and their love story unfolded amidst the strokes of paint and the echoes of their dreams, they discovered that the greatest masterpiece was the life they were building, side by side. After Liam's heartfelt confession, Emma sat quietly, her mind racing. She had always wanted success, but now she realized that what she truly wanted was to build something meaningful with Liam. Their time together had transformed her. She was no longer just an artist trying to prove herself to the world, but someone who had found love, purpose, and belonging. As the weeks passed, Emma canceled her plans to leave for the prestigious exhibition. It wasn't an easy decision, but it felt right. She and Liam spent their days in the studio together, working side by side. Liam's love for architecture meshed beautifully with Emma's artistic vision. They decided to open their own gallery, a place where they could merge both worlds, art and architecture, into one space. The idea was thrilling. It wasn't just about showing their work. It was about creating an experience for others, one where the line between creativity and design blurred. Stardust Gallery was born. The grand opening was an evening to remember. The gallery's interior was a mix of modern architecture with abstract art scattered throughout. The room felt alive, not just with color and light, but with the energy of Emma and Liam's shared passion. But as with any dream, challenges followed. Emma, still a young artist in a cutthroat world, struggled to balance her time between creating and managing the gallery. Liam found himself buried in the demands of his architecture work, constantly pulled away from the gallery to oversee new projects. The space they had built together began to feel distant. They fought over small things at first, and then larger things, like the direction of the gallery and how much time they were losing to their separate passions. One day, after a particularly heated argument, Emma sat in their studio, staring at a half-finished canvas. She picked up the brush, but her mind was elsewhere, tangled in frustration. What had happened to the carefree days when all they needed was each other and their art? Liam entered the room quietly. "Emma," he began, his voice softer than usual, "I think we've lost sight of what we're trying to build. This gallery, it's supposed to be about us, not just our individual dreams." Emma looked up, seeing the hurt in his eyes. "I know, Liam, but I'm exhausted. We've put so much pressure on ourselves to make this work, and somewhere along the way, I think we lost track of why we started. It's not about the gallery. It's about us. Liam stepped closer, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. I'm sorry. I pushed too hard. I wanted everything to be perfect, to give you everything you deserve. But I've forgotten that what matters most is you and me. Emma smiled, tears welling in her eyes. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear that. We'll figure it out together, she whispered. We always have. The tension between them melted, replaced by the understanding that they didn't have to sacrifice their love to pursue their dreams. They had already built something beautiful, a partnership that blended their worlds and art. The gallery was a reflection of their shared vision, not just a business venture. They decided to scale back. They cut down on their outside projects and focused more on the gallery's future. They collaborated with other artists, hosted events that celebrated both emerging and established creatives, and continued to inspire one another. Months passed, and Stardust Gallery became a symbol of what was possible when love and art intertwined. It wasn't just about the pieces on the walls, but the journey of two people who had chosen each other and their passion for art above all else. Then, one evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, Emma turned to Liam and said, "Do you think we'll ever stop growing?" Liam smiled, his eyes reflecting the lights of the city. "As long as we're together, Emma, I don't think we ever will." The story continues to show their growth as individuals and as a couple. The gallery became a staple in the art community, but more importantly, it became a testament to the enduring power of love and creative collaboration. Together, Emma and Liam built not just a career, but a life full of passion, balance, and mutual respect. Their love story, like the stardust in the night sky, was a reminder that even in the darkest times, the brightest stars shone the most. As the months passed, Emma and Liam's relationship deepened, and their bond strengthened. The gallery flourished, but it wasn't without challenges. They learned the balance between managing a business and nurturing their personal lives, each becoming more skilled at handling the delicate harmony between their respective passions. In the quieter hours of the night, they would often retreat to their shared studio. Emma, with her paint-streaked hands, would step back to admire her latest work, while Liam would sketch architectural designs on his tablet. Sometimes, their work overlapped. An art installation in the gallery that combined elements of architecture, or a painting inspired by the shapes and lines found in the buildings Liam designed. Their creative minds intertwined as naturally as their love. Though their gallery was gaining traction, Emma never lost sight of the deeper purpose behind it all. She found solace in her art, not just as a way to express herself, but as a bridge to understanding others. She had always believed that art had the power to heal, to create a conversation between souls. But now, with Liam by her side, she realized that art was also a way of understanding each other, building a relationship that would last through the trials of time. Liam, too, found a new sense of fulfillment. Although his architectural projects continued to push him into the limelight, the quiet moments he shared with Emma, immersed in creativity and love, made everything feel worth it. He had always been successful in his career, but there was a deeper satisfaction in knowing he was building something more significant, something that would transcend buildings and blueprints. One evening, as they prepared for a new exhibition featuring a group of rising stars from their community, Emma found herself lost in thought. The gallery had become more than a business. It was now a sanctuary, a place where artists could express their deepest fears and hopes. But there was still a part of her that wondered if she was truly doing what she was meant to do. "Liam," she said one night, breaking the comfortable silence between them as they worked in their studio, "do you ever wonder if we're on the right path? What if we're just building this beautiful dream that we can't sustain? What if?" "Emma, don't," Liam interjected softly, setting his sketchpad down and moving toward her. He took her hands in his eyes reflecting the same determination and love that had led them this far. "We've built something real. It's not just a business. It's a life we've created together. And that's what matters most. We've already made it. By simply being here, by sharing this, His words had the power to calm her fears. She had always been afraid of losing herself in her pursuit of success, but Liam's unwavering support made her realize that true success wasn't just about external validation. It was about creating something that meant something to them both. They had already created a legacy that would last, a shared life full of love, art, and endless possibilities. The day of the exhibition arrived, and the gallery was filled with the vibrant energy of creativity. As the evening unfolded, Emma and Liam watched as people from all walks of life entered their space, their eyes lighting up as they immersed themselves in the art. They saw the impact of their hard work, the connections between people, the conversations sparked by a painting, a sculpture, a piece of music. For the first time, Emma felt a deep sense of fulfillment. It wasn't just about the number of visitors or the money the gallery brought in, it was about the way they had connected people to something greater, something meaningful. They had done it together. Later that evening, as the crowd began to thin, Emma and Liam found themselves standing together in the gallery's center. The soft hum of conversation still lingered in the air, but it was quiet now. The two of them stood, hand in hand, looking at the art that surrounded them. Their creations, their visions, their love made tangible. "I think we did it," Emma whispered, her voice filled with awe and contentment. Liam smiled and nodded. "We did. And we'll keep doing it. Together." At this point, we are well into the story's journey, and there are still many moments of growth, challenges, and the deepening of Emma and Liam's relationship to explore. The next parts could delve into their further growth both as individuals and as a couple, including their future challenges, their art, and how their gallery evolves. Months passed since the exhibition, and the gallery's reputation had spread throughout the city. Emma and Liam's shared dream had evolved into a beautiful success, but as their influence grew, so did the pressures that came with it. Emma, now a well-known artist, found herself in high demand, her work sought after by collectors, critics, and galleries far beyond her own. Meanwhile, Liam's architecture firm flourished, with prestigious contracts rolling in. Their individual careers were thriving, but the time they once spent together was becoming scarce. The challenges of balancing their professional lives with their personal relationships started to take their toll. Late nights in separate studios, missed dinners, and quiet mornings without the familiar presence of one another became routine. Their conversations were increasingly about work, discussing projects, deadlines, and upcoming exhibitions, leaving little room for the dreams and passions that had once connected them. One evening, Emma stood in front of her latest canvas, her mind far from the colors and brushstrokes in front of her. She couldn't remember the last time she had felt completely at peace. The constant pressure from the outside world had crept into their relationship, and she began to wonder if they had lost sight of why they started this journey in the first place. She longed for the carefree days when all they needed was each other's presence and the thrill of creating something together. It was in this quiet moment of reflection that Liam entered, looking weary after another long day of meetings and site visits. He stood at the doorway for a moment, watching Emma as she worked, her focus entirely on the canvas. He could see the tension in her posture, the way her shoulders had hunched over in the last few weeks, the weight of responsibility resting heavily on her. "Emma," he began softly, his voice breaking the silence. "We need to talk." Emma looked up, surprised by the seriousness in his tone. She put her brush down and wiped her hands on a rag. "What's wrong?" Liam crossed the room and sat beside her. "I've been thinking. We've built something incredible together. But lately, it feels like we're building it apart." Her heart sank as his words hit home. She had been thinking the same thing but hadn't dared to speak it aloud. They had both been so consumed by their work, their careers, and their own personal growth that they had neglected what had been most important from the start: each other. "I don't want to lose us, Liam," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't want to look back one day and realize that we were so focused on everything else that we forgot why we started this in the first place." Liam took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Neither do I. But I think we've been so caught up in success and what everyone expects of us that we've forgotten the foundation we built." We've been so focused on keeping the gallery running and chasing bigger projects that we haven't made enough space for the things that truly matter, the simple moments, the connection we have." Emma nodded, tears welling in her eyes. She had known it for a while but hadn't been brave enough to admit it. "I miss us. I miss the days when we spent hours talking about art, about life, about everything. I don't want to lose that." Liam gently wiped away a tear from her cheek, his touch tender. "I don't want to lose that either, Emma. I love you more than any project, more than any exhibition. We've built something special, and it's not just about our success. It's about us, about our love, our shared dreams." A silence fell between them, but this time it was comforting. They didn't need to say more. They both knew what had to be done. They needed to prioritize what had once brought them together: their connection, their passion for art, and their love. Rebuilding together. The next few weeks were transformative for both Emma and Liam. They decided to take a step back from the demands of their respective careers. Emma took a short break from her exhibition schedule, and Liam paused some of his larger architectural projects. They focused on themselves, on the small moments that had once made their relationship so special. They spent their mornings together in the studio, working on new pieces for the gallery, and their evenings exploring the city they loved. They revisited their favorite places: the small cafe they frequented during their early days together, the old bookshop that smelled of history, and the quiet park where they first confessed their dreams to one another. In this newfound quiet, they rediscovered their love for one another and their shared vision. They started collaborating more actively on their work, with Emma creating a series of paintings inspired by the architectural wonders Liam designed. Liam, in turn, drew inspiration from the colors and textures of Emma's art, incorporating them into his designs. The gallery, which had once been a space to showcase individual works, became a true reflection of their shared dreams. As the months went on, they learned to strike a balance between their personal and professional lives. They worked together on new projects and took more time for themselves, understanding that their relationship wasn't just about supporting each other's careers. It was about supporting each other as people, as artists, as partners. One summer evening, as they sat on the balcony of their apartment overlooking the city's skyline, Liam turned to Emma. "I think we've found our rhythm," he said, a content smile on his face. "Not just in the gallery, but in life." Emma smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "I think so too," she replied softly. "And I think we're only just beginning." Conclusion: a new chapter. The years that followed were filled with love, challenges, and growth. Their gallery became a cornerstone of the local art scene, attracting artists and visitors from around the world. Emma's career soared, but she never lost sight of the values she had built with Liam. They continued to collaborate, creating installations, exhibitions, and experiences that blended their art and architecture into a seamless expression of love and creativity. Through it all, they remained each other's greatest support, their love growing stronger with every passing day. They had built a life together, one that was more than just success. It was a life of balance, love, and shared dreams. And as they stood together, looking out at the starlit sky, Emma realized that their love, like the stars above, would continue to shine brightly, no matter where their journey took them.